It's becoming very apparent to me how we all need to become more of ourselves, and if we have to be ruthless about that, then so be it. So I want to talk about becoming the muse through shadow work, and integrating the dark feminine side of you is a part of the shadow work. What is the dark feminine? She is beauty, she is grace, and she will kick you in the face. A woman who can not only accept but also become one with the dark side of herself is a dangerous woman. And there's so many projections when it comes to the word dark, when really it's a scientific fact that there is no seeing light without darkness. I wrote that in my channel bio for a reason. It's also the reason why you can see all of these beautiful colors in the sky even though it's getting dark. Because you guys just missed the sunset, and light and darkness is how you see all the colors in the sky. Personally, I'm not about the whole princess treatment thing because it centers men too much and that's misaligned. And to me, dark feminine energy is not for men. It's for you. It's sovereign, and you don't need a man to become your own heroine. A lot of you guys have actually asked me for a video about shadow work, and as an ex-goth, I love my dark side, so I'm delivering that and more. I told you guys about my black cat Amelie and how I learned so much from her. She's such a black cat, dark feminine energy kitty. I can never get her to do anything. She has her own mind, and that's what makes me love her so much. But I find dark feminine energy to be extremely attractive, and interestingly enough, it does not do well with basically men who can't handle it. It's the Siren effect. They get all mesmerized, but they can't take it. It automatically weeds out people around you no matter who they are. They are unserious and they want to play mind games with you. They leave your life automatically because they can't handle you, and it makes your life so easy. The entire lore behind having dark feminine energy is literally about the liberation of women's autonomy, and we should all tap into that. My channel is all about improvement, whether that's physical, mental, or spiritual, and if my videos can help you feel more confident, then I would have done my duty to humanity. Anyway, I'm super excited to get into this today. There's so many examples of women who have it, and they are all iconic women like Alexa Demi, Effie Stonen in Skims, Megan Fox and Jennifer's Body, Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, even thinking about Naomi Campbell, Monica Bellucci, Queen Cleopatra. These are all examples of women who are not only okay with, but they are comfortable with expressing their darkness. And I'm gonna get into details very soon, but if men are the sun, then women are the moon with our natural cycles and flow. And in terms of Zen Buddhism, masculine principles are yang and feminine principles are yin. They are opposing yet complementary forces. They're interconnected and mutually transformative. And there is polarity in all of us. There's duality in all of us. So if dark feminine energy is all about receptivity, sensuality, and quiet confidence, then it's the touch of chaos and unpredictability that gives it that it factor. That's why dark feminine energy is so powerful. But at the same time, it is also embracing a strong will and intuition that women have long been told to suppress because of societal expectations. You have to understand that dark femininity is very threatening. Obviously, not everyone's going to like it. It scares people. When you have strong dark feminine energy, you're able to speak your truth clearly and strongly, and you become extremely magnetic, especially to yang energies, because polar opposites attract. But obviously, we also need a balance. Otherwise, too much chaotic, misaligned, hyper-feminine energy turns into toxic femininity, which is a bit hard to explain or categorize because it's not clearly defined like toxic masculinity, but I believe it's a type of mean girl, pick-me energy which sees other women as competition and basically leads to even more gender oppression, just like how toxic masculinity does. You can also channel dark femininity, and it doesn't matter if you like boys, if you like girls, if you like blue people, it doesn't matter. So the psychologist Carl Jung is a very famous figure in modern psychology, and Jungian psychology has influences from Greek philosophy, specifically within archetypes and in Plato's philosophy about the theory of forms. And Jung talks a lot about how archetypes are the universal symbols and patterns of the psyche, basically the blueprint of different types of people. So when you're saying things like someone is my type, you're basically referring to the archetype of a persona that you're attracted to. He also says that darkness and upheaval always precede an expansion of consciousness. The dark feminine is a female archetype that's very mysterious, powerful, and very seductive. It represents repression, denial, or the misunderstood part of the feminine psyche that holds power and depth and seduction and a lot of rage and intuition and transformation. Not only is this an ancient concept across all kinds of mythologies and religions like Egyptology and Hinduism and Buddhism, but there's a reason why it's seductive, because we all have free will. We cannot be 100% good or 100% bad. We also can't be 100% feminine and 100% masculine. Everything exists in balance. And as much as some people may want to be one side or the other, it's impossible. That's why when you see some someone who is super feminine or super masculine, they're struggling with a part of themselves. And there's many other examples too. For example, like the conscious part of us wants to be a good person, but the unconscious part of us wants to be an entire whole human being with all of our good and all of the bad. This also explains why nobody really falls for the nice guy or nice girl act, because we inherently know that they're hiding a part of themselves. These people are going to shapeshift and chase validation, and that's just not attractive. It's also why I think sometimes people hate something for no reason. There's always going to be a reason, and it's probably a part of themselves they're running away from. Young believe integrating the shadow is needed for you to truly become yourself. For women and men alike, reclaiming this dark feminine energy is about owning your hidden emotions and embracing yourself without shame. Stand in your personal truth, and you automatically command respect because you're so authentically yourself. Whereas when you're actively keeping down your shadow and not allowing yourself to be 100% you, part of yourself can and still will leak out regardless through all kinds of things, and usually dysfunctional things like being a manipulator, you're insecure probably, you're victim mindset, you're passive aggressive, or you create chaos in your life. When you can successfully work with the shadow aspect of yourself and you integrate it, it becomes magnetic and grounded, sovereign, and you become more of your whole entire person. And that will make you more attractive because you are being real with people. You're not fake. Here's a diagram from a book called The Great Mother by Eric Newman, and it's an in-depth study about the Great Mother archetype. So this circle as a whole shows the archetype of the feminine. And you can see divine figures like Mary, Sophia, Demeter, Kali, Lilith, Hecate, and I'll talk about them as well in detail. The upper half is the light positive feminine, and the lower half is the negative dark feminine. And the dark feminine in this diagram is given the traits of negatively transforming and ensnaring. Transformation in a very consuming and very chaotic sense. And this is not necessarily bad, by the way, because it's more about destroying the old and starting over with the new. And sometimes you have to do this by force. The dark feminine is also associated with the earth, and that will make the light feminine associated with heaven. And in the context of light femininity in this day and age, at least, it's usually seen as girl core or coquette, although I wouldn't just limit the dark feminine to what I describe it as because it's only an archetype. And obviously true individuality can't ever be understood. It's kind of like how there's still a tinge of darkness in light feminine and vice versa, and maybe even though it's dark right now in the sky, you can still see a little bit of light peeking through. That's kind of how I see it. That's what makes us individuals. So women should learn to lean into all aspects of femininity without feeling apologetic or guilty about it. But like I mentioned, integration of the shadow is a necessary work that we have to do in order to become uniquely individual, and it's something that I've worked on a lot, and I'm comfortable in my shadow, although there's still more work to do. Like for example, I have a very deep fear of mediocrity, of scarcity. In fact, I want to get away from scarcity mindsets. I'm naturally rebellious, but yes, sometimes I also want to play by the rules because it's easier. I also need to learn how to become even more unapologetic about my opinions and really literally go to war for them. I have a very powerful voice that even I'm afraid of, and once I work through that, it's game over. I'm going to level up. You guys need to understand that the shadow is actually about your unmet potential. It's not about your flaws or like you're doing something wrong as a person. You don't have to fix it, but we can know ourselves by working with it. And that's what makes you so powerful, when you can conquer your dark side. Dark femininity is also all about chaos, mystery, intuition, and most of all, desire, and you must know one to become one. A big issue for women these days is that we're so disconnected from our bodies and from arousal. Ladies, pleasure is healthy. It's not a sin. But society taught us it's a sin. Society taught women to deny their bodies, deny pleasure, ignore hunger signals, ignore our gut feelings and intuition. Women should not be fearing their own bodies. We should learn to communicate with it and get to know it. Stepping into our femininity also means doing what feels good to us, and that's our God-given right. If we're not meant to experience pleasure, then why does it even exist in the first place? Then why does our world revolve around it? This is an essential part to feeling more whole, really, because we learn to become receptive without feeling guilty. And the only way to get past that is to detach from the emotions of shame and observe pleasure. When a woman is in touch of her sensuality in real ways and not performing sensuality, but truly connected into a sensuous consciousness, she will naturally draw in beautiful things, beautiful people, places, beautiful opportunities, and deeply nourishing relationships. And what I mean by all of that is, do you feel hot or not? I know many of you girls may know about bullet vibes, but if you like intense and focused sensations and you want to take things up a notch, Womanizer Next is perfect for that. And of course, I'm going to hook you up with a discount. So the brand Womanizer literally invented suction toys choice, and they also have different types at all prices, which you can look at in my link in the description. All womanizer products use pleasure air technology, which is a method that basically revolutionized the entire toy industry because it can stimulate you without even touching your skin, just by gently pulsing air around your parts. If you guys haven't tried that yet, oh my gosh, because the result is a unique and very mind-blowing experience. Their iconic product is called Womanizer Next, and it's really next level. I have it right here. They even gave me this cute canvas bag to put it in, and it says go love yourself. But basically this uses air pulses called Pleasure Air 3D that feels deeper and anatomically correct and precise, which makes it a more intense and all-encompassing sensation. Like, to me, traditional vibes feel like a machine that makes you go numb after a while, and personally some of the vibration sounds are so loud that it just like annoys me and destroys the mood. But whoever made Womanizer Next truly understands women's bodies and how pleasure works for women, which is so rare. To me, a bullet vibe is like, okay, well, that's instant coffee and it does the job 3 out of 5. But Womanizer Next is like drinking coffee from a $3,000 espresso machine that your coffee fanatic friend just bought. It's like the best coffee you ever have, 5 out of 5. Or the difference between flying coach versus business class, and both will get you there, but once you had a taste of that business class, you can never go back. To me, this really feels like a more leveled up high-tech version of classic pleasure, like you're being kissed over and over again. Like, why stop at 1 when you can have 14? Because there's 14 intensity levels for whatever you want to get out of your session, different depth lengths. There's even a smart silent mode that only turns on when it touches your skin. And even then, you can barely hear it. I'm not joking, guys. It's literally on right now. Can you hear it? There's also an autopilot mode for a hands-free random journey, so you can just go with the flow, as well as an afterglow effect for a soft wind-down mode to ease back into reality after you climb the mountain. And of course, it's 100% waterproof, so you can enjoy it in the shower, in a bath, at a waterfall, in the ocean, whenever you want to immerse yourself in feminine energy. This is a cult favorite for a reason. The girls love it. So click the link in the description or use my discount code MAYNEXT for 20% off anything on the website. All Womanizer products come with free discreet shipping, a 5-year warranty, meaning if something happens to it, you can get it replaced. Plus, Womanizer always have cool offers on its website. You can get some very good deals on a new vibe. So why is the dark feminine so seductive? I literally had dreams where I saw goddess archetypes with very strong dark feminine energy, where they would show me where they live and I hear the deep echoes of their voices. And when I wake up, I would remember it so vividly and be haunted for days. And it's usually somewhere very majestic, somewhere like super ornate, and it's incredibly magnetic and powerful and unforgettable. Dark feminine is interchangeable with Femme, Fatale, and Siren archetypes for a reason. It's Muse energy, and it creates this mixture of very intense but also ambivalent emotions where you're both feeling very seduced and terrified at the same time. How does one even feel this ambivalence so strongly? It really boggles my mind, but nevertheless, you feel naturally drawn and you want to get closer to it, but you also have this vague fear of being eaten up by it, because the dark feminine is a siren. She is everything that you want, but she will eat you up if you're not careful. As a woman, aside from your looks, your energy is your most important asset. If you can change the vibe in a room just by stepping into it, you can hypnotize people just by speaking, just by your energy. It takes some work to get to this level, as well as routine habits and maintenance to keep yourself at that level. But once you're here, everything opens up for you and flows to you. Everything becomes easy and you find that you get whatever you want because you are magnetic. And magnetism is also a form of quiet, all-encompassing elegance. I found this Arabic quote that really resonated with me, and it says, elegance is not only from your external appearance, there's also internal elegance. It is the elegance of your tongue, your brain, your heart, and the way you talk and the way you act. So let's go through some of the iconic qualities of the dark feminine Muse archetype and how you can tap into it. Number 1 is confidence. You can cultivate self-confidence and a strong sense of self-worth, which is inherently attractive. There's also charisma, which you can develop by honing your communication skills, which 80 to 90% of that is your body language and the rest of it is emotional intelligence. You should be able to captivate people by your words through conversation and draw people in effortlessly, while also maintaining an air of mystery by revealing only enough information to intrigue people and make them want to learn a bit more about you. Be a bit mysterious and enigmatic and never overshare. And then there's embracing your sensuality and femininity, because physical allure and seduction is super powerful. Even the tone of your voice, work on the cadence, the tone, the expression of it. Enchanting voices have the power to captivate, and you can eat people up just by your voice alone. Become independent and self-reliant, because powerful women are free spirits who answer to no one but themselves. And then lastly, develop some empathy. Like, technically we should ask this of everyone, but if you can understand people's desires and people's vulnerabilities, that allows you to hold some kind of quiet influence in your relationship with people. You're going to be able to understand them better and with subtlety and with grace. There's also an aspect of feminine energy that is aesthetic, but you're going to notice that the aesthetic is 75% carried by the vibe, which is created by embodying the qualities. And then the rest of the 25% are just the physical markers. Because even if you look like it, but if you don't feel it, if you're not thinking it, then you're not it. So let's go over it. Because typically I see dark feminine having dark hair, bold lips, smoky eyes, maybe a bit of face contour, and wear a lot of black clothes that are seductive. But of course, this is only the archetype. This photo also shows light versus dark, and you can see that there's a bit of darkness in the light and lightness in the dark and vice versa. And just like how I explained it earlier, that's your individuality shining through. You can look however you want as long as you embody the energy of having it. So how do you embody your muse dark feminine energy? First of all, cultivate your authentic sense of self by letting go of your people-pleasing tendencies. People-pleasing robs you of your personality because you always feel like you have to shapeshift and morph yourself to become a more likable version so that they will like you, and nobody's ever liked by everyone, so that only makes you fake. And when people can't figure you out because you're so similar with them, you can't evoke strong feelings in people. If you can do that and really affect people with your energy, then you have power and influence over them. Also, find out your own values, your dislikes, your likes, your goals, and your dreams. Who are you? What are your most deep-seated desires? What gives you more energy? What makes you feel passionate about your life? So if you want, you can even write down a list of your core values and rules for your life. You can literally create your own personal manifesto, because why not? Next, work on building your cult of personality. How do you want to be perceived? How do you want your authentic self to be seen by the masses, by your social circle, by your partners in business or pleasure? Because if you want to become unforgettable and powerful, you have to be seen, and your true self needs to be seen. And the beauty of all of that is you get to control your image, whichever aspects of your personality that you want to be associated with your personal brand, your personal style. How do you dress? How do you smell? And how do you carry yourself? And does that reflect who you want to be? How do you want your personal grooming to be like? Like, how do you do your hair, your nails, your makeup? What's your signature look? Also, what industries or social circles you want to be associated with? You're going to have to be able to name them, as well as what kind of hobbies do you already have or do you want to have? Your favorite meals, your go-to music genres, what are your favorite places to travel to? Over time, all of these things will become who you are, and people will also associate these things with who you are. So elevate yourself by living through association. If you can master this, it will encourage people to see you as relatable but also unattainable, because wow, she is so much of herself, you know? Next, set goals for various aspects of your life, whether that's professional, financial, health, relationships, your self-development journey, creativity, and your pleasure. How do you want all of these areas of your life to show up? What can you engage in to feel fulfillment and success? And once you have your goals, you can construct new routines, new habits, and new systems that serve you, and basically cultivating a ritual for every aspect of your life and the time of day, so that you are living and embodying that feminine energy through all of the things that you're doing. Setting a morning routine, night routine, diet, workout plan, workflow, schedule, your budgeting, your investment plan, your relationships with people, as well as your sensual expectations to help you achieve your goals. I mentioned how pleasure is very important, so you should be indulging yourself. Drink your favorite coffee, invest in high quality clothes and products, only eat what you like, have a glass of wine if you want to, and listen to your favorite music over and over again if you like that. And always find ways to express yourself creatively and invest in yourself, even if it takes creating a vision board so that you can see yourself clearer. These are all great ways to bring more passion into your life. Another thing that goes hand in hand with all of that is to seduce yourself. Say affirmations to yourself, admire your face and your body in the mirror, and engage in activities that make you feel more confident. When you can remove all of the noise that's in the world and all you have is yourself and nothing else, would you still love her as who she is? The perception of an alluring person all starts with the habits that you practice alone. Lastly, and most importantly, set clear boundaries for yourself and protect your peace at all costs, because your life is for yourself and only for yourself. You get to decide what behaviors and people and circumstances that you can and cannot accept. And it's even better if you can articulate that very clearly so that people around you will know how to behave accordingly. And if you can streamline the external and internal aspects of your personal brand as the vision that you want to represent, that level of attention to detail about yourself shows how much you value yourself, your appearance and your presence. And eventually, and most importantly, this is how you have to feel about yourself. Basically, you have to believe that you are the embodiment of confidence and radiance and success. Your presence is magnetic and people are naturally drawn to your energy. You will walk into every single room knowing that you belong, you're grateful, you're very powerful, and you have undeniable charisma and your aura radiates. You are worthy of love and admiration and limitless abundance. Everything that you desire is already yours because you move with purpose and certainty. You will only attract the best opportunities, relationships, and success flows effortlessly to you. You are a thriving work of art. You are a masterpiece, and the universe is constantly aligning in your favor. You are the main character of your life and you are living the dream. If people are out there thinking, oh, she has main character syndrome by thinking that, then yeah, so be it. You agree with that because of course you are the number one love of your life. Nobody should dare question that. You should love yourself completely and that love will transform everything around you. And if you don't believe any of that, then you have to work on it because like I said, if you don't think it, if you don't believe that you are it, then you are not it. I also love looking at the examples of women who embody the energies that you're looking for. So let's take a look at a few dark feminine role models who are also very iconic muses. For example, the Egyptian queen Cleopatra is known as the most beautiful woman in history. Is she actually the most beautiful? Maybe not, but it's her lore, the legend, the narrative that's crafted for her, and her iconic status is what makes her legendary. Because of that, her beauty went way beyond just looks. Queen Cleopatra of ancient Egypt was highly intelligent and educated in philosophy. She read a ton of books by philosophers like Homer, Plato, and Aristotle. She also had a deep curiosity in how the world worked, and it was said that her physical beauty shined not because of her looks, but because of her mind and her genius in all kinds of areas, like her power in politics. She's very fluent in many languages. She was romantically autonomous, and she was also an amazing conversationalist, which made her very charismatic. She understood what her power was, and she weaponized all of these qualities to rule a kingdom. Cleopatra also believed that she was a living goddess and had many men chase after her because she was so focused on herself. She knew exactly how to express her strengths and talents, and she never considers even shrinking herself once to make other people feel comfortable. That's not even a thing in her world. The Empire of Rome was literally quaking in its boots because of her. Of course, that's also the iconic Hungarian Countess Elizabeth Bathory, who allegedly bathed in virgin's blood to preserve her youth. She was completely obsessed with herself and her looks because she knows that your looks are your potential, and she's a countess. She had so much lore around her. Her enemies were obsessed with her. She's probably even a mass serial deleter. There's many rumors flying around. Anyway, she's become the literal archetype of the immortal, vampiric, dark feminine. Very decadent and hedonistic, deadly, and completely taboo. Powerful and unbound by morality. And then there's the first and only woman emperor in China, Wu Zetian, and she rose from being a concubine to supreme empress through strategy, intelligence, and she ruthlessly eliminated all of her enemies. She was a ruthless woman. She was also highly intelligent and cultured as a patron of the arts and Buddhism and in her education, but most of all, she was remembered as a dangerous woman because she was the only one who broke the male emperor dynasty. And you have to remember that Chinese history has spanned over 5,000 years, and she was the one who broke all of the rules. A more modern fictional example is the character Lara Croft, and I remember when I first saw Tomb Raider, and I never forgot how captivating she was to me. Lara Croft was empowered, unapologetic, self-obsessed, but also mysterious and totally in control of her world. She lives on her own terms, in her own way, but at the same time, she has a very inherent knowing within her, like she's seen everything before and done everything before. That's why she's so confident. And as a raider of tombs, she's not just about finding treasure, she's also about preserving lost worlds. She's guarding mythologies, she's looking for sacred relics in an almost priestess-like way, and fearless and confident about going into the darkness and into the unknown. There's a very mysterious and esoteric quality to that, but also a certain type of softness to Lara Croft, where power is graceful, your knowledge is sensual, and the mystery is magnetism. I also learned this, that when Angelina Jolie channeled Lara, that it transformed and leveled up her own personal life too in many ways. Angelina Jolie literally became even more of her dark feminine self after playing that role. So dark energy in general is naturally divinely feminine, and I don't participate in these spiritual practices, but I'm gonna go over it for the sake of the video because it's very interesting to me. There's a misconception about the divine feminine. It's all about being pure and light and good. Goddesses aren't really pure, and they never were. All throughout religious lore and cultural cultural history, goddesses were completely unhinged. They were wreaking havoc, they were doing whatever they wanted. They fully embraced their darkness, they embraced chaos and war, and in fact, wars and sacrifice appease many goddesses. There are various religions and occult groups that celebrate the dark divine feminine energy, and although sometimes literally worshipping goddesses like that can also be quite chaotic also, especially if you've worked with them before, because when you understand how this energy works, you know it's chaos, it's negative, and depending on what you want, you go through the storm to get to where you want to be. So it's very interesting to me how dark feminine energies are so closely associated with very powerful and chaotic goddesses like Lilith, Hecate, Kali, whereas light femininity is more so associated with martyrdom, sacrifice, and nurture. For example, the Virgin Mary in Catholicism, I know she's not a goddess per se, but she does embody the role of one. Like, you know how people make effigies of Virgin Mary to use her as a divine vessel? And Kuan Yin as well, she's the goddess of mercy in Buddhism, and Demeter in Greek mythology is also the goddess of harvest, fertility, and also represents nourishment and growth. These are all very nurturing goddesses, and what I found interesting when I looked into divine goddess energy is that the mother goddess is often associated with the cow symbol, like for example Kamenedu in Hinduism or Hera in Greek mythology. And of course, we always need a fine balance of energies, because otherwise when it's too much, especially when it comes to feminine energies, it becomes misaligned and it unleashes unchecked martyrdom, idolization, and sacrifices specifically surrounding these cow deities. For example, the golden calf in the book of Exodus, or the cow-headed Egyptian goddess Hathor, who represents love and abundance and fertility, but then in one myth, when Ra sends her Sekhmet to punish humanity, her power becomes too overwhelming, too destructive. She starts becoming very chaotic and uncontrollable. She starts drinking a lot of blood, and only when she was tricked with wine, which was a symbol of softened consciousness, does she revert back to love. I also want to talk about Lilith when it comes to tapping into dark divine feminine energy, and Lilith was Adam's first wife. She was created from the earth and not of his rib, and she became demonized and seen as dangerous because Lilith demanded equality, and so she was banished as a result. I heard an astrologer say that we need to tap into our Black Moon Lilith sign in order to fully experience the dark divine feminine. And in natal chart, your Black Moon Lilith represents our darker, deeper natures that may be repressed or buried. So wherever that lands on your chart specifically, it's going to tell you where you're meant to reclaim your sovereignty. Specifically, Lilith seeks liberation and freedom. She wants you to look into your darkest mortal wounds and find a way to change your circumstances through your own willpower. For me, I have Lilith in Taurus, which means that I fear scarcity mindsets, like I mentioned earlier, and I express my defiance through embodiment and becoming my best self. And because embodiment is very magnetic, people also, as a result, project all kinds of feelings into me, whether that's positive or negative feelings or desire, jealousy, or feeling threatened by me, whatever it is. Literally, story of my life, I heard so many things about me, whatever, but then that also means that my shadow wound is caused by being treated like an object, not like a human being, and being guilt-tripped for things like expressing my values and from dimming my own light and shrinking myself. And that has sort of haunted me and became my reason to transform my life. So when I'm able to work through this and successfully integrate my Lilith energy, I take on a teacher role through uncovering my magnetism, where I lead by example for people who experience limits and oppression in their lives, in order to become the person who can find stability in transmuting chaos and pain into power. And we all have that in us, and to be able to find strength in a bad situation and turn that around for the best, and so that I can show other people how to do that. And I want to leave you with this idea that the image of yourself will continue to become sharper and more concrete and solid in your own mind as you continue to invest and add more value into your life. And these things all take tiny steps, and eventually you're not going to fear that anyone else can erase parts of yourself, because you're so solid in knowing who you are and nobody can take that away from you. So repeat after me in the comments: I don't chase, I choose. I make videos like this one every week, so subscribe if you haven't, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.